Welcome to another weekend here on the platform. My name is Omatseye. Welcome to Big Talk. I have a special guest today, and it's none other than Professor Femi Osofisan, writer, poet, polemicist, dramatist, newspaper pundit, and public commentator. He has written an interesting new book titled Gamaliel Onosode, Classicals and Honorable Life. Thank you very much for being on this show, sir.
Thank you very much, Sam.
Why did you decide to work on the book on Gamaliel Onosode? Because this is just a little away from what you are known to be interested in. That is books about the literary arts and even personalities in the literary world like J.P. Clark and stuff like that. Now you've gone to one of Nigeria's well-known bureaucrats and titans of the corporate world. Why?
Well, if you read the book, I explained it in the first chapter.
Yes.
I wasn't too familiar with him, I must confess. But when I was at Ibadan, he became the visitor,
pro-chancellor
of our university. So, and then I had a research associate who is now herself a professor,
Yes.
Who knew him very closely. I think she worked with him. And apparently he was looking for someone to write his story. There was already a book about him, business and all that, but he wanted something that would be readable, that would be, and he was looking
like
for
a full biography.
Yes, So and then so she asked me, would I like to do this? And I got intrigued by it. I said, okay, let me see him whether I could. So I went to his house. She took me to his house in Surulere. And I was fascinated by his personality immediately. He was just a different kind of businessman, the one I So I accepted that I would do this.
What was it about him that you found fascinating?
He was cracking jokes. He was dancing. He was,
Which was a far cry from the public image, as the angular, straight-laced,
very serious.
Yes, proper.
But he was completely different. So I was wondering. I was fascinated by this. So I said, okay, yes, okay, I'll do it. That's how it started.
Now, there's an interesting personality in this book, Wayimi. Why did she become such an important person, a go-to person for this story? You used a very unusual, let's say, métier to write for a biography. People use different angles and so on. How did you decide on this mechanism for writing this story?
Well, I'm a writer,
Yes.
So always looking for the best way to tell a story.
Yes.
And I told the J.P. Clark story already through his books, his work, his poetry. And I was thinking, a straightforward account of a businessman that will not interest many people. So, and then interviewing people here and there, his family, people, his relatives, and I was thinking it would be untidy to just bring all these characters into a book. I talked to. So it occurred to me that why don't I just take one of them, to represent all these voices. So Gwehimi is a composite, you know,
Yes.
different people.
Yes, a composite of voices.
Yes.
Onosede's voice.
Yes.
Then you heard Gwehimi is dominant.
Yes.
Then your own voice. Then your own voice. So it's a kind of a tripartite approach. What comes out in this book is a light read. Looks like that is the strategy.
Yeah, well, read the first chapter, I actually explain it.
Yes.
The man wants a book that will be easy to read,
Yeah.
that is not going to be pedantic, or
Yes.
necessarily heavy, and so on. And so I had to find a way between, normal narrative and then the fictionalized part of it, just to make people.
Yes. You use the strategy of fiction writing.
Yes.
We won't call it. What's that thing they call autofiction? It's not, but it's something that some people might say parts of it look like that. Yeah.
Faction.
Faction. Yeah, we call it autofiction now, or creative non-fiction. Yeah.
Yes. So
Yeah.
blending with humor.
Humor, yes.
And some suspense.
Yes.
Just to get people to get into the mood and like to read it without feeling bored, oppressed, and so on.
Yes, yes. And so, but there's something about Gwehimi that makes one go back to the era of orality, where we preserve the histories in the brains of a few people, and you need to have capacious memory to do that. And there was something about Gwehimi that she knew not only the physical facts about or the outward facts about Onosode, but that she probed his psychology, and she was able to bring out very, very intimate details about him. How did you come to trust her to do the story? That's the point.
Depend on the reader to believe in me. So the question I should be asking you, did she convince you?
Exactly, she did.
So this was the thing. The thing was to make her convincing, first of all, as a human being, create a character that people will believe in. So, as a storyteller, I have to do
look for strategies. Yes.
And I think she would be more. I thought she would be more believable than creating, say, an old man or somebody.
Yes.
Telling the story. Make her glamorous and also somebody who loved. I did. There's somebody, in the family, not just one person, one or two people, and also himself, loved telling stories. So that the thing was just to marry all these various people together into one character, make it believable.
There's also the absence of one voice that I thought would be there to speak to the story. That's Susan, the wife. Why was she out of it?
Well, by the time I started it, she was just not physically able to she's not been well for
Okay.
So I think there was a scene, I'm sure that I can't
Towards
remember.
the end.
There was a scene where she actually told me.
Yeah.
But I thought it would not be fair to bring her when she herself was not able to
tell the story. Yeah, there was something missing there. We would have loved to get our own energy into the story. But there was also another thing about the story. You give us a sort of real-time atmosphere as to how the book is made. You tell us what is going on at the same time when you are taking your wine and so on. I remember when they were singing a song and so on, and I think it was a Christian song or something like that, and you didn't want to be part of it, and you said, well, they were all singing, and then all I had to do was to drink my wine.
Well, there were quite a number of moments like that where people would gather in the
Yes.
house, and there would be, in fact, at first I was a bit bothered by it, but I mean, nobody just cared about me. I mean, I wasn't an important personality in the gathering. I mean, maybe when they remember, the biographer.
There was also some moments when Himi felt you pushed her to the wall and she didn't want to say anything. At one instance, especially when they were trying to talk about the divorce of one of the daughters. And she said, oh, the people involved are still alive and so on, and you don't want to hurt them. You said, look, Onosode said everything should be spilled out, so you have to say it. She was trying to be reluctant. I said, look, I'm a biography and not a priest. You said so. So did you get some level of frustration even in telling this story, trying to get facts?
Between biography and fiction, the line is sometimes, and it's difficult when the people are still alive.
Yes.
To tell the actual stories. Some of the stories, for instance, were removed after he died. I mean, they had put in the text.
Inside, okay.
But which the children and some of their relatives
were uncomfortable with.
Yeah, removed. And I was sure that if the man had been alive,
he would have allowed them to go.
Yes. But they themselves admitted that well, look, he would, in fact, that sometimes they could hear his voice there, but that since he's no longer around, they will have problems
defending. Okay.
So they removed that. But well, I guess kind of how sensitive people are. One also has to take care of that, because after you tell the story, the family still has to go on. The relationships should not be, and not just with the family, but even with outside people, with important people we know, the roles they played. The children couldn't defend that. But so it's a delicate choice between this and that. In the end, I actually respected that. Because telling a story, family, you can't put everything out into the streets.
That's true. Even I remember Shoyinka himself when he wrote He Must Set Forth at Dawn. The criticism from the West was that there was no interiority in it. He was writing about other people. He didn't talk about his own self. Shoyinka's defense was that, well, that is what the West expects them to do and so on. But then, he wrote plays that went into interiority of people and so on and so forth. So there are certain areas when it comes to personal life that you get very
Be
careful about. Some people have said that biographies, no matter how, or autobiographies, no matter how frank you want to be, there will still be some areas where you will retreat. As long as they've criticized even Rousseau when he wrote his own. People said it was one of the most self-revelatory works, and some people said he still left some things out and things like that. But writing biography, especially the ones that you know that you don't have all the powers to do, does that give you a sense of near fulfillment or no fulfillment?
It's not really a question of fulfillment or no fulfillment. The thing is that you have to respect people as human beings. They are not just figures, in the public view. They are also human beings. And human beings have relationships. They have, we all have secrets. We have areas we want to guard. So my own is not really to embarrass anybody.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on what your aim is when you're writing a book. Some people want to cause a scandal anyway.
Yes.
Because they want the book to sell. And
Yes,
all that,
yes.
But I'm not that kind of writer. I mean, I don't write about everybody. So if I accept to write about somebody because, you know, I have respect for that kind of person. I mean, I've written other biographies, of course, with my name, where my name doesn't show at all. You know. But also out of respect for the personalities involved. You know. We don't want this, you know, and where I feel that it should be, I try to persuade them, you know, that you know, I think this is good for the public to know. And but if they insist they don't want it, then I don't insist.
Yes.
That, you know.
There's also decency required in this business.
I think there's that aspect.
Yes, yes. What would you say was most striking to you working on this work about Gamaliel Onosode?
You know, as I said, there's the public face and then the private face. You know. Then they're fascinating to me.
The dichotomy.
When you get close to him, he's such a nice, very friendly, very affable person. You know. And then also the mistakes he has made. For instance, the first woman he wanted to
marry.
Yes. And then, you know, the girl he had, and, you know, we can see sore points to him, you know. I mean, you know, other people would think, well, why? You know, I wanted to marry her, so I didn't marry her. So
what the heck? For viewers, you have to read it and find out what happened.
You know, obviously, you know, a lot of conscience.
And conscience, yes.
And then, you know, imagine somebody celebrating his birthday, and an old company which he belonged to decided to sponsor it and give him a lot of money. And he brings the money to the university.
Yes, that's what it did, yes.
I mean, how many people do that, you know?
That's one of the things you find out about him too, that this man was not a man who was really interested in money.
No. I mean, he otherwise, I mean, you know, how could you, we are talking of $100 million.
Yes.
You know, which they gave him, and he decided to donate it to UI.
Yes.
You know, go and do projects.
Yes.
I mean, it's incredible.
Incredible.
A man like that, you know. And look at what he did with NLNG.
NLNG, yes.
He was the one who virtually, you know, worked everything out.
Yes, created the industry.
Yes, but you know, who talks about him? You know, it's as if he didn't do anything. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, this man was so important to our history.
Yes.
To various things that have happened to us.
Yeah.
And yet, you know, very poorly remembered.
Yes, that's very interesting. And then he went into politics. That's Onosode. He went into politics. How will you reconcile the personality of Onosode and Nigerian politics?
Well, you see, I don't know how to say it, but I must say I was glad he did, because, you know, it just shows you what happens, and he learned his lessons, and those lessons are good for us to learn from. But the thing is that if people like him don't go into politics,
that's what he said.
Nothing will change.
But it shows us that people like him don't make it, because he went in and they played him around. They played him around when he wanted to run for Senate. They said he was going to go unopposed. And then went to Abuja and they said, well, your name is not there. It's the name of the person who stood down for you.
After taking money.
Yes, after taking money, you know, the person who stood down for you, who is there. And Abacha was in support of the other fellow. And then he said, okay, I'm not interested. Then he goes to Jos and he's there with his wife for a Baptist convention. And then a call comes in from Abacha. And Abacha says, now you can turn in your form. We want you to run for Senate. We want you to be senator. Then he replies and says, but the deadline has passed. He said, it doesn't matter. Then said, no. Since the deadline has passed, I don't want it. This is not what any Nigerian would say.
No, in fact,
Nigerian would say, okay.
Too scared of Abacha, first of all.
And not only that, they will say, well, it's my opportunity.
Yes.
Yeah, but in a sense, this was an opportunity he deserved that was deprived of. That was also a point for him to say, well.
No, but you see, the point at which they wanted to give it to him, will compromise him.
You compromised him, yes. It was like they wanted to use him for something else. And he didn't want it.
Yeah. And, well, for me anyway, what it means is that, political positions, virtue is not enough. You have to have that side also of viciousness, of being able to calculate. I mean, you don't just go naively into you are dealing with other men. And you
it's not only, it doesn't only, you don't have only to be right.
No.
You have to be decent. The Bible says all things are right, but not all things are expedient. Yes.
Strategy is important.
Yes.
You see, most of us, I think that's where we get discouraged when you give up. But strategy is there. You have to, it's like chess. You play. It's not just because I believe in you. I believe in you. Too many things. In fact, people who will betray you may not be doing so because of viciousness. Maybe the pressures on them may be such that they cannot help it. Some people are very clever in this kind of game. Instead of putting the pressure on you, they put it on your wife.
That's it.
Yeah, they go and compromise your wife and say, well, look,
I met a governor who said that I always try to make sure that I stay away from office at certain times. He said, but there are some people, if they can't get to me, they try to get to me through my wife. So
your friends,
yeah, and things like that. They look at your soft spot and they take advantage.
Yeah.
But there's an interesting episode there where they kind of conned him to contribute 10 million naira to the SDP, and I discovered that they gave me the impression that everybody was a candidate was supposed to do that, and it turned out it was the only one who did, and they promised a refund and they never got it. But they waved it off.
Yeah, that's politics.
That's politics.
Yeah.
It was not really.
I don't believe that this is just a question of criminality or anything. It's just the way the world is.
Yes.
If you want to do politics, you must be ready to negotiate, bargain.
Exactly.
And it's not being vicious or anything, but just being calculating, strategic, and you know that human beings have their own needs. So many people are in politics not because they want to improve things, but they have their own agenda.
It's a career.
Yeah. I mean, this is where Awolowo was different.
Yeah.
Because he was able to look at the various interests and
manipulate them.
So
you need a lot of statecraft. You need a lot of cunning.
Yeah.
You need so many things. Just virtue is not enough.
Psychology of people.
Yes.
So that's it. And unfortunately, many of us we only have the virtue.
Yeah, the virtue. And virtue is not enough.
Think, yes, I want to.
Yes, I want to change things. Let it change. No, stop there. There are many things. You can't cook ogbono soup with only meat.
Long ago, I think it was a teacher who told us that if there's somebody who has a headache and you have aspirin, you can cure him. To get him to take that aspirin, it may take you so because for many reasons he just refuses.
Yes.
And you can't blame him. Maybe his religion has told him not
to take it.
I mean, and yet you have this cure. This is what you need. I don't know.
It's amazing. It is a human nature.
Yeah.
It's very. The second part of this interview will air next week. My poem on Leah Sharibu will be read to you now.
Too many stories, too many spins. But your story shone darkly on the streets yesterday when I heard a cry for justice after a bullet felled a man sitting pretty with one eye to a soldier.
Now, thank you for being on this show. You can join up with my column at